On October 16, 2024, Liam Payne, once a global superstar with One Direction, died after falling from a third-floor balcony at a hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Was his fall purely accidental? Could more have been done by those around him? Or did the pressure of fame, past struggles with mental health, and the legacy of being part of one of the world's biggest boy bands play a role in all this? Liam Payne's journey to global fame began long before he ever stepped onto the stage with One Direction.
I met Liam a handful of times and he was always such a sweet boy. Just very enthusiastic, amazing voice, very handsome lad.
Born in Wolverhampton in 1993, Payne first auditioned for the X Factor UK in 2008 at age 14.
Charisma, you know, you give us that little cheeky wing.
Although judges saw potential in him, Simon Cowell believed he was too young for the competition and encouraged him to return in a couple of years. Payne took that advice to heart, continued training, and returned in 2010 with a stronger voice and greater confidence. During this second audition, he progressed through the early rounds, but was eliminated before the final stage of the boys category. In a now famous decision, the judges brought him back and paired him with 4 other contestants: Harry Styles, Zayn Malik, Louis Tomlinson, and Niall Horan, forming One Direction. One Direction quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Their energetic pop sound, combined with their youthful personalities, propelled them to worldwide stardom.
Guys, can we all just air high-five each other because you're now movie stars?
Get in!
Those were the happy, happy times. You know, they wanted fame and fortune and all those things, and they really got it.
Payne took on a prominent role within the band, often contributing to songwriting and serving as one of the group's strongest vocal anchors. Over 5 years, One Direction released multiple chart-topping albums and completed several global tours, becoming one of the best-selling boy bands of all time.
This many people have turned up for us, and it's our own premiere. It's just so mad. I can't believe we're at this stage. It's crazy.
There are thousands and thousands of your fans packed out here. Some of them have been here for 48 hours, some of them even longer. I mean, but you get this all the time, don't you?
That's the thing. Our fans are just so dedicated 100% of the time, and you know, to see them all here tonight and to be doing this is just so crazy. It's all down to them. They owe it themselves.
After the group announced a hiatus in 2016, Payne set out to establish his identity as a solo artist. He released his first solo single, Strip That Down, in 2017, which achieved commercial success and introduced a more mature R&B influenced sound.
No, of course I miss the guys. I mean, but it's a very different experience. You know, you get your own choice in the music sort of stuff. You haven't got to run it by 4 other people. The timing's different. Like you know, people used to turn up very, very, very late. We were like 5 rowdy teenagers, so you know, timekeeping's a little bit easier. It runs a bit smoother. It's okay.
While his solo career brought him creative freedom, it also came with new pressures. Payne has spoken openly in interviews about the intensity of growing up under public scrutiny and the impact of fame on his well-being.
When we were in the band, the best way to secure us, because of how big it got, was just lock us in our rooms. And of course, what's in the room? Minibar. So at a certain point, I thought, well, I'm going to have a party for one. And that just seemed to carry on throughout many years of my life. And then you look back, how long you've been drinking and stuff, where you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a long time, even for someone who's, you know, as young as I was.
When fame hit hard, it wasn't just the applause or the sold-out arenas. It was the silence backstage, the isolation in hotel rooms, the constant pressure to perform. But behind the stage lights and the fame, that escape turned toxic. The drinking spiraled, his mental health suffered, and deep loneliness crept in. He admitted that there were moments of suicidal thoughts and described a period when he didn't even recognize himself anymore. Eventually, he saw the crash for what it was, a wake-up call. He tried sobriety, went through rehab, and worked on rebuilding his life. Yet that chapter of his life remained shaped by the weight of public expectation and the harsh spotlight that fame casts. On October 16, 2024, Liam Payne had traveled to Buenos Aires, Argentina, earlier in the month with his girlfriend, Kate Cassidy, primarily to attend his former One Direction bandmate, Neil Horan's concert. Reports indicated he appeared in good spirits during this time, even posting cheerful updates on Snapchat about his vacation and new Netflix project. However, Cassidy reportedly left Argentina early, leaving Payne alone at the hotel. The hours after his girlfriend's departure was marked by escalating chaos. The singer's behavior became increasingly volatile and disturbing to both staff and fellow guests. Suddenly, at the young age of 31, Payne died after falling from a third-floor balcony. Emergency responders confirmed his death at 5:11 p.m. local time. The press reaction was one of global shock and profound mourning.
It's just even thinking about it now, it's heartbreaking, and none of us can still quite believe it, to be honest.
I was heartbroken. He was a young lad from the same town as me. He walked the same streets as me. I knew the school he went to, people he kind of hung around with. I thought of his parents, Jeff, Karen, his sisters.
Still can't believe it, really.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Still can't believe it.
Like everyone, we had the honour of working with him over the years, and it was such a shock. So sad. I think everyone's still trying to come to terms with it, really.
The primary area of speculation revolves around whether the death was truly accidental, given Payne's public history of struggles with substance use and mental health. While the Argentine investigation officially ruled out self-harm, finding he was in a state of semi or total unconsciousness with no protective reflexes at the time of the fall, many theorists question how investigators can definitively rule out a suicidal act when the individual is heavily intoxicated. What was the official cause of death? Was Liam Payne under the influence? Or was it the numerous events prior that could have played a part in his demise? The tragic death of Liam Payne in October 2024 brought a sudden halt to a highly scrutinized career defined in its later years by intense public criticism and online hate. Far from the wholesome image of his One Direction days, the years preceding his death saw Payne become a consistent target for mockery and condemnation, a backlash that compounded the personal struggles with addiction and mental health he was privately facing.
People can be dependent on them and become addicted to them, and that they can, either by their own initiative or with the support of others, they can stop using them.
Alcohol was the most dangerous drug, both in terms of self-harm and harm to others. Now that can be debated, but one of the reasons, of course, that alcohol is really considered less dangerous or less important or less malevolent, really, than any other substance is because it's legal. We're familiar with it. There's a pub on every corner, there's an off-license on every street, and it's readily available. So we assume that the familiarity of having alcohol all around us in some way makes it less deadly. But of course, the cost, both to individuals and to, say, the NHS in the United Kingdom is horrendous, really, from alcohol abuse and alcohol misuse.
One of the most damaging episodes was the 2022 appearance on the Logan Paul podcast. Payne's unguarded and heavily criticized comments about his former bandmates proved instantly polarizing.
There was one moment where there was an argument backstage and one member in particular threw me up a wall. So I said to him, if you don't remove those hands, there's a high likelihood you'll never use them again.
These statements were perceived as arrogant and disrespectful, triggering a massive wave of online scorn, permanently shifting public perception from pop idol
to a source of derision. Further damaging his public image were the severe allegations of abuse leveled by his ex-fiancée, Maya Henry. Her public accusations of emotional abuse, cheating, and controlling behavior were all expressed across social media platforms.
Because he would always message me ever since we broke up, like, oh, I'm not well. He would always play with death and be like, well, I'm going to die. I'm not doing well. And there was one time I tried to get him help, and then he was like, not taking it.
The resulting legal conflict, including a cease and desist order, amplified the perception of erratic and troubling personal behavior. In the public eye, These events cemented an image of a star unable to manage his life or relationships responsibly, inviting continuous negative commentary. After all this, Liam decided to go on a hiatus from social media and came back with a YouTube video titled, "I'm Back."
For me, a lot of what I just said just came from the wrong place. I was so angry at what was going on around me, and instead of taking a look inwards, I decided to look outwards at everybody else, and I just think, I just took it out on everybody else, which is just wrong, really, and my own frustrations with my own career and where I kind of landed. I took shots at everybody else, which is wrong. So obviously I want to apologise for that in the first instance, because that's definitely not me.
It seemed like he was taking care of himself, playing football for charity, traveling the globe to clear his head and to do his hobbies. Liam Payne's scheduled Latin America tour in September 2023 was a highly anticipated event, representing a significant attempt to relaunch his solo career and demonstrate his commitment to sobriety following a difficult period. However, this planned return to the stage was abruptly postponed due to a serious medical emergency, highlighting the fragile nature of his health in the years leading up to his death. The definitive reason for the cancellation was a severe kidney infection that necessitated his hospitalization. The tour was intended to be a positive, sober endeavor. Its deferral due to a physical illness underscored the extreme physical and mental toll his personal struggles had taken. The postponement was a major setback, not just professionally, but personally. It forced a pause on a comeback designed to give him a renewed purpose and stability. While tickets were refunded and promises to reschedule were made, the event served as a stark public reminder that, beneath the veneer of stardom, Payne was grappling with persistent, life-threatening health challenges. His inability to fulfill this professional commitment demonstrated that his recovery was not a straight line, but a deeply complex and vulnerable journey. In October, Liam Payne traveled to Buenos Aires, Argentina. While the public understood the trip as a brief reunion with a former bandmate, the reality was a prolonged and ultimately fatal stay driven by logistical hurdles. The initial, more celebrated reason for his travel was social and professional, to attend Neil Horan's The Show live on tour concert on October 2nd. Payne, accompanied by his girlfriend, Kate Cassidy, made the trip specifically to support his former One Direction colleague. This high-profile reunion was publicly documented, with Payne speaking of his eagerness to square up a couple of things with Horan, reinforcing a narrative of reconciliation and renewed commitment to his professional life. His attendance at Neil Horan's concert was widely criticized as attention-seeking, with critics mocking his behavior and his public attempts to resolve past issues. However, the reason for his extended stay proved to be more critical. Payne was required to be in Buenos Aires to resolve an issue with his visa at the American Embassy. This visa had reportedly become complicated due to his well-documented history of substance abuse. The renewal process necessitated that Payne undergo mandatory medical and psychological evaluations, including those conducted by a doctor and a psychiatrist, before the visa could be finalized and approved. This bureaucratic requirement effectively stranded Payne in the city. The initial plan for a quick 5-day trip with Cassidy was extended indefinitely until the visa processing was complete. When Cassidy returned home, Payne was left alone at the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel. This isolation, combined with the pressures of his mental state and the availability of drugs, created the vulnerable scenario that culminated in his accidental fall and death.
Sometimes drugs are a way of anesthetizing the soul. When we are in pain, we can take a drug, and there's no addict I think I've ever met who isn't in some sort of pain. So when you feel in pain, you take the drug to anesthetize, to ameliorate that pain.
Sources close to the star indicated that Universal Music had decided to quietly drop Payne in the days leading up to his death. This decision was reportedly multifaceted, stemming from creative conflicts, poor commercial returns on his previous solo album, and the negative public relations cycle fueled by his controversial interviews. For an artist already battling deep-seated mental health issues and addiction, the termination of his record deal, a major pillar of his professional identity and self-worth, was a crushing psychological blow. In the competitive shadow of his former bandmate's success, this rejection amplified feelings of professional failure and isolation.
And I know the songs that I've got in the bag. Album's kind of waiting a little bit now while I just get myself in order with these singles that I like, and then we'll be bringing it back.
The emotional impact of this news was graphically evidenced in the immediate hours before his death. An American tourist and other witnesses at the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel reported a violent outburst from Payne's room. A key account describes seeing Payne read a message on his laptop that visibly enraged him, prompting him to shout and smash the device. While the content of that message was not officially confirmed, the timing strongly correlates this moment of fury with the reported news of his label or management abandoning him.
Just tell us what you saw yesterday.
So we're here with a couple of other guests in the hotel, and we were in the lobby just waiting for some people to arrive, and that's when we had multiple encounters with Liam. Multiple times had come down to the lobby, was causing a disturbance, kept being escorted back up to his room. There was an incident where he was very frustrated and was smashing his laptop in the lobby, and then the final time he came back down, he actually passed out in the lobby of the hotel, looked like convulsing a little bit, and had to be physically taken back up to his room. And that was about 5 minutes before the eventual incident that happened. So,
did you hear him fall? Did you see him fall?
Yeah. So I was in my hotel room, 2 floors below him, directly below, and saw the body fall through. Looking out the window, saw the body fall, and obviously heard the aftermath and could see his body on the ground afterwards.
This is the view from Brett's first floor balcony to the courtyard below where he saw Liam's body.
You almost had to pinch yourself to understand and process what you were seeing, but it just was an out-of-body experience, like surreal.
Doug Jones is a friend of Brett's, attending his wedding.
There was a lot of noise throughout the day, starting like middle of the day, a lot of shouting, yelling.
He was staying in a room next to Liam Payne's suite.
Probably between 3 and 4, I heard the door slamming a lot, and it got really bad. Like there must have been people coming and going or whatever. And then lastly, a really, really loud yell, probably somewhere between 4:45 and 5 o'clock on Tuesday. And I was actually getting ready to meet a friend down in the lobby at 5:30, and that's when I came down and I heard all the sirens.
I don't know how to put it in words, actually. It's like a mixture between sadness and I'm kind of glad that he's not suffering anymore.
It was night, and then I was reading, and then I just get a bunch of messages, and it's like something's happened to Liam and everything. And then at first I was so shocked, and then I started crying. It was just horrible.
It's upset my son because he's been a huge fan of One Direction since the beginning, and Liam was so lovely and kind. When we got to meet in Manchester, took time taking photographs, selfies, did a little video for him. It was lovely.
Since, I think devastation is the only word I can really say.
The most poignant global moment occurred away from the public eye, at the private funeral service held in Amersham, England. For the first time in nearly a decade, the remaining 4 members of One Direction were united in grief. Their solemn presence, alongside music mogul Simon Cowell, was a powerful visual statement to the brotherhood forged during their formative years. The emotional reunion, albeit under the heartbreaking circumstances of laying their friend to rest, provided a brief, sorrowful closure for fans, marking the final, definitive end of their shared history. Liam Payne's death thus became not just a personal tragedy, but a somber catalyst for both a global debate on artist welfare and the final painful assembly of the band he once helped lead.